So the first step that you need to take is to open your browser, and in your browser log into your Microsoft Azure account. And once you have logged into your Microsoft Azure account, click on virtual machines, and then you should click on add button. As you click on Azure, as you click on the add button, you shall be able to see the create virtual machine portal, which has many tabs available in it: basics, networking, management, advanced, tags, and review and create. Now these are the different tabs where you will be specifying the different configuration and specifications for creating the virtual machine. The very first thing that we need to do is to create a resource group within the subscription. So I click on create new, and here I will be putting the name of my resource group. So I'm putting up my resource group name and I click on OK. Now after that, I need to provide a virtual machine name that I will be using, and it should be visible to me in my subscription. So I will put a virtual machine name. Usually I shall give a name that should be appropriate for the kind of lab or work that we want to do it over here. I will say this is my developer VM, and then we select the region of where we want to create the virtual machine. Now if you are using Microsoft Azure Pass, or if you are using the free trial, Microsoft restricts you to use certain regions. That means you cannot create virtual machines or any other Azure resources in all the regions. And therefore, you can select the region which could be either South Central US, East US, or Central US, etc. For the sake of this example, I am using the region which is South Central US. I keep the rest of the things as it is over here in this case. Now here it is telling me about the size of the virtual machine that I need to pick up from here. And because I have already used certain vCPUs, so it is giving me an error saying that 2 vCPUs are needed for configuration. Only 0 vCPU of 10 is remaining. In such a case, if at all I try to click on this drop down and I use the location as East US, you can see that my number of my size of virtual machine error disappears. The reason behind that is that Microsoft restricts the number of vCPUs that you can use on each region, that is in cognizance with your the kind of Azure account that you have. Here I will select the image of my virtual machine. All right, I would like to select here Windows Server 2019 data center. That will be the one that we want to use over here. You can see the price has increased because this price is including the license of the Windows Server 29 data centers. All right, now instead of doing this, since we want to develop a virtual machine with which should have the necessary Microsoft Visual Studio, etc., and so on and so forth, let us click on browse all public and private images. And in this case here I can simply say Visual Studio 2019 in the search box. This is Azure Marketplace, and you can see the virtual machines are already, images are already available with the respective types of virtual machines that are there. Now in this one, I am selecting this virtual machine which I would like to create with Visual Studio 2019 Community Edition on Windows Server 2019. So I select this. All right, and here since we are going to sometime do a heavy work, we can click on this drop down and we can go about selecting a little higher configuration of the virtual machine so that we don't face any challenges in terms of speed, etc., which is there. And then I click here. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and put the username. I usually put the username like developer, and I use a password. Now, this password must match the Microsoft complexity, number one. Number two, you should not use regular passwords such as password 123 or something like that. Third, it is very important that you note down the password so that you don't forget it, because resetting the password will unnecessarily, you will be wasting time in that exercise. Now I will confirm the same password which I have used in the previous screen. And then this is something very important, whereby we are able to see inbound port rules. We should allow the RDP port, since this is the port we are going to use in order to take a RDP connection. Now a small trick so that you can save some credits when you create this virtual machine. And it says here that at the bottom it says save money, already have Windows licenses. Now understand that whenever you use a Microsoft product in Azure, if at all you are using a virtual machine, the cost of the operating system license is also added into it. However, since we are going to use this virtual machine temporarily for the lab, then it will be a good idea that we can use the trial version of Windows rather than using a licensed version of the Windows operating system. So I can say yes over here. And below this, I can click on the drop down and I select the license type as Windows Server. And I say that I confirm that I have eligible Windows Server license for a software assurance, etc. Now, after this, we click on, so this is my page, this is my basic page, one of the very first page that you will be coming across and using these things. So you can see here that these are the things that we have to configure and select over here. Now I go to the disk tab. I don't want to save the password right now. So it is using the OS disk type as premium SSD, providing you the SSD performance. Below this one, if I want, I can add database, any data disk. I don't want to. And I go to the networking, where it is going to create a new virtual network for me. I keep all the default things as we want to do it in this page. We don't want to make any changes here. And then we click onto the management tab. Now on management tab, one of the things that you can do is to switch off this boot diagnostic. And also Microsoft facilitates you with something called as auto shutdown. I can say enable my auto shutdown. And the idea here is that when you are not working with your virtual machine, maybe after your office hours, you would like it to be automatically shut down so that it doesn't incur cost to you. Remember, when your virtual machines are in a shutdown state, they don't incur cost for compute. But yes, whatever storage that you have used, you will still be charged for that. But that storage cost is very minimal. So it is a good idea for a developer that maybe 7 p.m. in the evening, they can shut down the VM after their work is done. And also, if you want to start it again, you can always start it, or you can also go to the virtual machine settings and turn this off when you need it. Also, be very careful and important that you select the time zone where you are going to work in with this particular virtual machine. Like for example, I'm creating this virtual machine and I will always be in India. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to select the Indian time zone when this machine should be shutting down. So I can see here this is UTC plus 5:30. Now please accordingly make your time zone selection. And now I don't want to be notified, so I can say off. And then I can go to advanced tab. And in advanced tab, if I want, I can always add some more things into my disk here. I don't want to do anything here. And I will simply now go to review and create. So I click on review and create, and Microsoft is going to run a validation for this particular virtual machine that all my configuration specifications that I have mentioned are good enough and they are working. So this is good for me. And I will click now on create. Once I click on create, this request will be submitted and you shall be able to see the details in the notification area. So it is saying submitting deployment. And once the deployment is submitted, this is going to wait for you. It is going to show you on the screen that your deployment is underway, a kind of a progress bar indicating when this will happen. So as your deployment will be going through, you will see the different steps down below under the deployment details. You can see that some of them are emerging here and you will be able to have this. Now once this deployment is underway, I need not stay back on my portal, and I can move away from here, do something else and continue to work. Now as this deployment is going on, we have to wait for this deployment to complete. Once this deployment is complete, I would like to show you that how can we actually go about taking a RDP connection to this virtual machine. And also install some additional software that we need as a developer.